like to say that we are very excited to be able to be here today and to share a little what we've been researching and developing in Brazil. So I've been studying artificial intelligence since 2013. That's the year I started, my research for PhD at University of São Paulo. I was accepted there at the year of 2014. It was like 4 years to present my thesis. I had the opportunity in 2017 to have an international research, and I was accepted at Max Planck at Hamburg and also Munich. And then I was accepted at Columbia University in United States, New York, under the orientation of Jane Ginsburg, the daughter of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And then I had the opportunity to have this comparative law, considering how we can have, the protection of the intellectual property that applies to the database that's going to feed the machine learning for artificial intelligence. So I had my PhD on that, and I keep studying because we are like studying all time, everything from that time until now, until we reach the artificial intelligence, the generative one that, Clarinda was just saying. So what we are trying to reach with you in this agenda is to talk a little about the global AI development trends and the timeline, some news about generative AI, then increase also the patents on that. I am the CEO and the founder here of a law firm in Brazil that's dedicated on innovation. We have 20 years of practice already. I started as a coder on the age of 12, so I love programming and I love technology. And then later on, I went to law school. So I used to say that I started with IT and then I turned to be a lawyer, so we have a different DNA. So we are going to talk about the timeline of AI regulation here, and also what are the differences on the legislation, considering like three, approaches: the European approach, the US approach, and the Brazilian approach. Then we are going to finish with AI risks, what we have to really pay attention, everybody that's like developing projects or programs on AI. I believe that everyone does, because it's not just the future, it's happening already. And what we can bring as, best practice. So if you are like a teenager right now, you'd like to be in this economy of AI, or if you are already like a company that wants to invest on that, or you need like your innovation area to look how to take advantage of AI, what you should be applying. If you have a chatbot or a drone, or if you have would like to use ChatGPT, whatever, what you should be doing. So that's what we are going to be talking here. As well, I'd like to start with this chart. I believe that can have like we can have like a fast going back and going forth on the future, when we think about 8 years of AI. But also we are going to pay a tribute here to Ada Lovelace. That's this scientist, a mathematics, that's a great woman that started all. We couldn't be having the algorithms we have so far right now if it doesn't for her. That's the reason as well why we start naming AI's a girl name, a woman. That's why I do have a robot in my office, in my room there, that calls Ada, my first robot that I bought at 2017. I named it Ada because of her. And that's very interesting because she was the daughter of the writer Lord Byron. And interesting because I am IP lawyer as well. And we know that we protect copyright and all the software industry, considering that we write down the programming of a software. So we consider that somebody that writes a software program is a writer, because we use copyright law. So it's very interesting that a great mathematics like her is the daughter of a writer, so I believe her DNA was very interesting and differentiates. And that's why she inspired Alan Turing. And Alan Turing is the reason why we reached this first, jump on algorithms at the time of 1950. In the age of 50s, everybody was like excited about not only mainframes, we born mainframes there, but the first algorithms we born there that time because it was after the Second World War, and we could win the war because we could fight the Enigma. So we could break the cryptography of the Enigma, and then it's because of Alan Turing, and Alan Turing used the vision of Ada Lovelace. So we can say that the grandfather of the super algorithms and the AI generative that we are living today, we can say that just start there. And then we have these 20 years of time that we need usually to make the jump, to have the evolution of AI. So every 20 years, we have this fast changing, and we get to be prepared. So later on 1970s, in the 70s, we had the processing power chip race. So we start with the first algorithms, and then we need the processing power. So all the industry of chips, not just Intel, but everyone was like, how we can make it faster and faster and process more data. And then we need like, after the 20 years of jump, we need like database, but not only a small database, we need big data. So it's the big data run. And for that, we can pay a tribute for Tim Berners-Lee. Tim Berners-Lee created www and then World Wide Web borns. And that's what we make viable, the internet as we know. And we need people, and we need people information. We don't need companies' information to really make algorithms learn, because we need to learn about people. And that's what brought the next 20 years, and needs all the big data, the advanced algorithms, and the media race, and all the platforms. So everything is about not just giving things for free, but capturing people's data for free. Because there is no free lunch. We need data, people data, personal data, because we need to talk the algorithms. And that's what is going to bring us to the next jump. And the next jump happens 20 years again. 20 years from the last 20 years, that's 2030. The 2030 is going to be the next jump. But before that happens, what we don't want, but it will happen, it's a crisis. It's the most huge digital crisis when we have the 100 years of 1929. If in 1929 we had a social and economic crisis, in the meantime of the two world wars, we are going to have the 2029 crisis in the meantime of the cyber war. We started the cyber war with Russia, and we know what happens. And we are going to have the huge digital crisis with the energy crisis, the connection crisis, the cloud crisis, and the AI crisis. And then after that, whoever survived that is going to have acceleration of the social and economics, marketplace. So we get to get prepared for that, because then comes super intelligence and super life. Then comes all transparency and avatars, and then comes a demand that society has for cybersecurity, honesty, because everyone knows everything from everybody, and we are living this surveillance society. So not everyone is going to be prepared for a few days of digital collapse. We have this young generation that cannot be without a cell phone or without Instagram or without TikTok for more than 30 minutes. Imagine being without a week. Imagine not being able to access your digital bank or your cryptocurrency or your TikTok or your Instagram for a few days. Maybe somebody's going to jump from the building. So we really need to get prepared. So it's something that we are talking. I am giving consultants on that, and let's see what's going to happen. I'm part of a group of 28 countries that I will invite to come to Brazil next year, because I was, in United States, in Washington in 2019, and we did a plan. We did a 5-year plan that goes to from 2019 until 2024. So it's a 5 years plan. So now we have to update the plan because nobody had at that time the vision to predict the pandemic, and then that made everything goes more fast because we got all the elderly people online. And what we did when we got all elderly people online with digital transformation, we got access to the more quality information at all. The quality information for who knows more than the young people, who knows more and has more experience, everyone that's more old, that really knows more about everything. So what pandemic did for algorithms is that algorithms now are living with and learning with old people, elderly people, and that is shaking everything. And also, we are bringing more risk on cybersecurity on that, because elderly people is more vulnerable. They are so vulnerable than the kids, and nobody is, really educating them on the digital risks. So that's what's happening, and that's what we should be prepared, and we should have our, surviving digital data plan to go through that. And that's why, when somebody says that maybe we have generative AI risk, is wrong, because we have a risk much more bigger than that. We have 2029 risk, and there are like 5 or 6 more bigger risks, like energy risk, connective risk, cloud risk, cyber war risk altogether. And that, of course, happens to have the algorithms risk, because it's more ethical risk, because we are starting to have generative AI that is being created by, the players without having character, without having ethical programming. So that's a premise, that's a principle. And that's not only about regulation, that's about, having our countries sitting together. I don't know if it should be more a treaty, international treaty, and not national regulations, because we should be, as a global community, talking about that, because that can really jeopardize humanity in 2029. It's very, very close. We have 5 years to plan all this. So what I'm saying is that it's not only a company that maybe should have an ethical code of conduct on how I should use generative AI, or an educational institution that should teach a student to not shit using generative AI, because there is not a problem with the technology. Technology is not good or bad, mean or ethical. It really depends on how you teach the algorithm. Algorithms learns like kids. If a kid have good parents, good family, good professors, it's going to have, a good character. If a kid has no references at all, it could go to the wrong way, and that's a social problem, a society problem, a government problem, a state problem. And not just from now. We have like 10,000 years that that. And it's the same thing with robots. A robot has to be taught with ethical codes. So if you have a chatbot on your institution and you didn't teach your chatbot about your ethical code, how your chatbot's going to know it? If you don't teach how to report an incident, how your chatbot's going to know that? They don't born with like a soul that is going to know everything, they are not. Besides, I really think that sometimes, technology comes like a spiritual one, but, they learn everything with human beings, with our database, with our team. They know with the users, they learn with the users, and everything they learn, they have 100% of efficiency of, applying what they learn. They are more efficient than human beings. They really pay attention. They really learn. They really apply about the knowledge they have been taught. And they also share with other robots what they have been learned with neural nets. So if we as human beings teach well robots, they are going to teach back our kids. So I believe we are going to have an upgrade on society, an upgrade with human beings. So the point is, maybe if ChatGPT is lying right now, who is teaching ChatGPT? We have, deep problem on how we are doing machine learning right now. So going to AI patents, because I'm here in the office with AI patents, what we see, and my time is just, ending, is that we have this AI race. The point is, I will ask everyone that's developing AI if they are using ethics by design, if they are using a Lex dataset. Lex dataset is a dataset of regulations that you should be teaching your AI from the beginning, because we have like Berna treat that tells everyone what are intellectual property and what we should behave, and you should give credit of an author, a moral credit of something, as I have done here when I mentioned Ada Lovelace, when I mentioned Turing, and I mentioned Tim Berners-Lee. But when you ask something to ChatGPT is going to answer without giving credit to anyone. So I believe that ChatGPT is having bad teachers, and that's the point. And we could not have a generation of bots or robots that is having a bad teacher, because that's going to bring a lot of risk. So I can question how we can evaluate this kind of companies if they are risky ones and they are doing risk AI. So the governments are, getting up to speedy regulations, but these regulations are poor. They are not sightseeing. They are not, forecasting everything that I just taught you. I'm participating here in Brazil. I'm a member. I'm a council member of Brazilian Data Protection Authority, and I'm also participating at our Congress to try to help our Brazil regulation. The point is that we are trying to follow Europe, but the regulation on Europe is not, even close to watch out what I just have said. And I believe that US is right now considering better some of the points I just point out, because they are, trying to bring the market and to have this, sandbox regulation. I really believe in sandbox regulation, and I think that we have to bring experts that understand more technically how AI works, and not just policymakers. And we need to be together as a global community to understand what's going to happen in the next 5 years. And we really need regulation, that's for sure, because we cannot just depend upon contracts and code of conducts. And that's the point. That's the difference of each one. So we have like 4 levels of risk involving AI: privacy risk, cybersecurity risk, copyright, IP risk, and ethical risk. I would say the worst one is ethical risk. We should start from that, because we give a character for the robot, and the robot with a character is going to be a best one. And the robot without a character is really a bad one and should be shut down. That's the point. So when we have AI risk metrics, we can have an algorithm that has decision, and the decision has to follow a purpose, and the purpose has to follow regulations. And we already have IP regulation, cybersecurity regulation, data protection regulation. So I cannot start an AI that don't follow rules, that don't follow principles, that don't follow regulations at all. So that's the point. So a step-by-step for AI risk goes from what regulations I should apply to my database modeling. Will I use data lake? Is there data from external source? Are they in the public domain? Is the fair use exception applicable? Can I use anonymization? Does it generate some kind of parasitic exploitation like unfair competition? I also have competition regulation to be taken care. And if you teach the bot all the regulations, the bot's going to teach back the human beings. So we're going to have a sustainable society, a very good one, the one that we never had so far, So AI is compliant by design, is ethical by design, cybersecurity by design, privacy by design, everything by design. So it comes from manufacturing, comes from the beginning of everything. So we need AI ethics committee at the company, AI code of conduct, contractual clauses for AI development, algorithmic impact access model, AI learned logic clause, AI limitation of liability, but also we need to take care of the teachers. The teachers need to be oriented. Machine learning starts with who is teaching the machine. That's the point. And what's the behavior we want from the end of all that. And this is the way we are going to make the due diligence. So that's the model I have in my PhD thesis, how I evaluate the intellectual property. By the end of the day, should evaluate very good and should value more who follows all these rules, who follows all this. Otherwise, I'm evaluating something that's going to bring a lot of risk and maybe, a lot of damage to the society in 2029. So even Europe and US lawmakers are moving to try to bring AI code of conduct very fast, but it has to be an obligation. More than knowing your customer, you have to know your algorithms, and ethics by design should be an obligation by law. Thank you all. I really appreciate to have the opportunity to talk to this audience. And I also have books in English, and my thesis also is in English as well.